All right, let's get started now. We already passed 4 minutes. Very good morning, very good evening, everyone. Welcome to this demo sessions for a DBA course. Uh, right, so today and tomorrow are going to be two demo sessions. What I'm going to do, I'm going to briefly explain about the course curriculum, course timing, course structure, and the instruction about me. And followed by, we'll continue to discuss about some common questions, queries, whatever you guys have it. And then parallelly, we'll discuss about few of the fundamentals, basics, and architecture part for the database. And these two sessions, today and tomorrow, are going to be the interactive discussion. I want everyone to post your questions, ask your questions, and make these sessions interactive. Again, these are publicly available link. I would request you to share with your friends and colleagues and ask them to join this link so that we can make these sessions interactive because uh, want to be two-side directions, two-way directions rather than I am explaining everything. You can ask any questions or queries related to this course or related to any of your concerns or any of the concept you want to clarify, and then so that we can make these two sessions as an interactive. Right. So once these two demonstrations are done, so we're gonna continue with the actual course from coming Monday. So that's the idea behind why we are conducting these two demonstrations so that so wider audience can join and have a participation on these demonstrations and make this as an interactive and ask most of the questions. So you can use the Zoom chat window here, and if you're unable to talk or you're unable to unmute, you can go ahead and post your questions over here using this Zoom chat, or you can unmute yourself and feel free to stop me anytime when I'm explaining the concept, and you can ask your questions by unmuting yourself. Right. So with that, I can quickly start with the very first topic, that is introduction about your instructor, and then we'll start about the course curriculum, what is contained in this particular course, and what is scheduled and what is not scheduled, and then we'll briefly go over entire course curriculum and course structure, what is formed for this DBA course. Right. So coming to your instructor, there is no other third party person who is giving this training. It is only me. I'll be a single person who will be conducting this entire course with a real-time practical live demonstration. So this entire course curriculum is based upon the real-time experience and real-time concepts. And as a DBA, if you're working for a client and what is expected, what are the day-to-day activities we are going to perform for that particular client, all together will be put together in this particular course curriculum, and then this course is formed such a way that any DBA work for any client should be able to handle without any issue. So this particular course is basically made up of from the junior DBA till the advanced level. So this contains everything as a DBA what we are supporting for any client day in and day out. So entire course structure will be formed. So this course is conducted by me. So I'll be the one who will be conducting this entire course. There's no other third party person or anyone coming from outside or training this one. So this is Mallikarjun here. I'll be having 15 years of real-time experience in the Oracle domain, Oracle world. So I worked on various organizations, including Oracle Corporation, and those organizations are various types. So retail and insurance and finance and you know some healthcare. So after my graduation, I started with the as a junior Oracle DBA, and then promoted to senior Oracle DBA and Oracle SME and infrastructure lead, and you know so these are like a journey from last these 15 years from various organizations and various positions, and this entire 15 years I spent my career only in Oracle domain. So with that 15 years of experience in Oracle domain, I got a chance to work on various Oracle products. So again, many of you might be not knowing Oracle is just one single product where we are supporting as a Oracle DBA. It's not just one product. Oracle has various products. Oracle, when it comes to Oracle, you can work as a Oracle DBA, Oracle Data Guard expert, Oracle Golden Gate expert, Oracle Engineering System, Oracle Exadata expert, and Oracle EBS application expert, Oracle OBI expert, and Oracle PeopleSoft expert, Oracle Soho expert. So there are various products in Oracle. So I got a chance to work on all of these. I started my career as a Oracle DBA, where I used to work on Oracle database, Oracle RAC, and Oracle OEM and Oracle Golden Gate. And then I expanded my knowledge in Oracle application side, application areas. Like I worked as a Oracle EBS apps DBA, and I worked in Oracle OBI admin, and I worked in Oracle PeopleSoft admin. Those are Oracle application products. And also I got a chance to work on Oracle engineering systems, Oracle Exadata, Oracle Supercluster, Oracle Exalogic, and Oracle Cloud, and Oracle so many engineering systems, Oracle JDFR, your JDFS, that is your JDLRA, and Oracle ODA, Oracle Database Appliances. So there are so many products. So I worked on all of these products. So that is gave us more confidence. That is gave me more confidence, and that is made me very strong in this Oracle domain. Right. So that is just a brief intro about me. In this entire 15 years of career, I purely dedicated on Oracle domain, and I'm sticking to this Oracle domain, and I'm continue to be serve in this Oracle domain. So with that, I think you might be having many questions, or you might be having a lot of discussion with your seniors or colleagues. Is the Oracle jobs are good in market? Is this Oracle field good in market? And are we supposed to stick to this Oracle domain? Right, so that is all left to your individual concept, because if you want to learn new technologies or new things and you are allowed to do that rather than sticking to this Oracle domain. Why? Because even though I purely dedicated my 15 years in Oracle domain, I got a chance to work on the other Oracle products, and then I exposed myself, I learned quickly, and then I supported many projects outside of Oracle. Like for example, I worked as a IBM DB2 admin. I worked as a SAP HANA admin. I worked as a Oracle. I worked as a MS SQL database admin. Also, I worked as a PostgreSQL and MySQL admin. So these are my other database skills where I got a chance to learn those products, learn the other database skills, and work on that. And also, I got a chance to work on the other than Oracle products. Like I learned Informatica, and then I worked as the Informatica admin. And this all based upon your interest, and it's all based upon your how quickly you learn the new technologies. And other technologies what I learned, or you might be having the other questions while discussing with your seniors or colleagues, like is it good to learn DevOps skills? Is it good to learn the cloud technologies? Of course, any technologies you are learning, it's always added advantages, provided you are going to use it for your project. So you are going to learn something and you're not going to use it in your day-to-day project, then you're going to easily forget that particular whatever the technology you're going to learn. So it's all based upon need, based upon your current project, what you are handling, and you are supposed to learn that particular technologies. So anything you are learning is always added advantages, but you have to make sure that whatever you are learning, it is going to be useful on your day-to-day activities. So in that case, what I did, I also exposed my knowledge in the DevOps skills. I learned a cookbooks. Chef, I learned Terraform, I learned Ansible, and then I learned so many other skills at the DevOps, like using shell scripting, Python scripting. And with the help of these DevOps skills, what I did, I used these particular DevOps skills and I exposed myself into some automations, like your patching automations using Ansible and your upgradation automation using your Python scripting. So again, that is all left to your interest and how you are going to use that technologies, whatever you're learning, into your day-to-day activities, into make your day-to-day life easy. And that is respected to your interest and how quickly you can learn that. Right? That is about the DevOps. And on top of that, again, you might be having many questions while discussing with your friends and colleagues that is it good to learn the cloud technologies? Of course, it is good to learn cloud technologies because nowadays many startups or many of the organizations willing to learn or willing to move their workloads into cloud. And now you might have seen in last 1 year, Oracle stock price has been reached so high because Oracle is now supporting database as a service in the other cloud vendors, AWS, Azure, right? Then this is the era of multi-cloud technologies. So one cloud product can run on the other cloud, one cloud service can run on the other cloud vendor. So it is good to learn any cloud technologies, not specific to OCI, Oracle Cloud, or AWS Cloud, or Azure Cloud, or Google Cloud. All cloud technologies are one and same. And once you learn one particular cloud technologies like Oracle Cloud Technologies, you can easily adapt to Azure or AWS or your Google Cloud. So it's easy, but it is good practice and it is good and added advantages. If you get a chance to learn any cloud technologies, go ahead and explore that so that it's gonna help you for your resume to be strong and you will be up to date in the market and you will be getting a lot of job opportunities based upon this cloud technologies as one of the major key skill sets, right? So with that, you might be having some question that with this DevOps booming, with this cloud technologies are booming, is it Oracle DBA jobs are secure? Do you have any job crunch? Of course, no. Don't be in that particular doubt or dilemma. Our DBA jobs are going to be vanished because of these cloud technologies or because of this DevOps. Because of these cloud technologies and DevOps, as a DBA, you are going to automate a lot of things and you're going to use these technologies to make your day-to-day life easy and make your day-to-day life as an automated way, day-to-day task as an automated way. So with the help of these cloud technologies and your DevOps skills, you're gonna get more and more job opportunities and you'll be up to date and your resume will be strong in the market and that's going to help you for getting the new job opportunities easily when you expand your skill set to your cloud and DevOps. Right. So that is the overall intro about me, where I got a chance to work on this Oracle, a pure Oracle product, Oracle technologies from 15 years. And I did not restrict myself into this cloud, into this Oracle technologies. I also expanded other database skills and also expanded my knowledge to other technologies like DevOps and also expanded my knowledge to cloud technologies. I learned Oracle Cloud and I learned uh, AWS and also supported on a few of the projects on this Oracle and AWS. Right, so that's the overall intro about me, and those are the common questions you might be having. Like, is it good to learn cloud technologies? Is it good to learn the DevOps skills? And how good DBA jobs are in the market? So, I already answered these questions. These are the common questions many of the DBA will be having their mindsets. Right. With that, again, as I said, I'm repeating again, feel free to pause me, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions you have it as and when I'm explaining this concept and clarify your doubts because make these sessions as interactive rather than I'm single person explaining everything. And if you have any questions, if you ask that, so that the same questions will be in the others someone's mind, so that will be get clarified. All right, I'll take a pause here and before I go into this course curriculum. All right, I'll take it as a no questions. Let's move on to the second topic, that is a course curriculum. Very, very important thing, because we are all here to learn this database skill sets, and it is very important to understand what is the course curriculum, what all content this particular database course made up of, and is that going to be helpful based upon the real time world, based upon the real time experience. So if you open the a course curriculum, again link is over here, so you can just open it, or you can go to my blog, click on the trainings, the announcement link here, and that announcement link is going to take for the course details and upcoming batch details. So this is the course curriculum link here, I already opened, and it has some keynotes. Please go over that. But what I'm interested is I'm directly jump onto this course curriculum or course content. So I'm going to take more time here to explain each of this content, because very important to understand what is contained in this particular course and what is not contained, so that based upon that you guys can take whether this course is going to be useful or whether this course is missing any of the particular concept which I'm working in my client environment. So feel free to add those comments so that I can improve this course content. I can add it in this particular course curriculum if anything is missing. Right. We'll start with the environmental setup, where we set up the labs, and then we'll install the required database softwares. So we'll explain about this Oracle VirtualBox, Oracle patches, Oracle softwares, and how you're going to set up that lab environment on your laptop, because all the lab will be set up on individual laptop, and all the servers will be built on the individual laptop, where you're going to do a hands-on lab exercise and practice each and every concept what we are covering here. So we'll start with the first step, setting up of the environment, network, IP addresses, and how you can access the lab using a putty or mobile xterm. And once the lab setup is done, so all the IP assignment, name resolution, and your host name, and how you can access that particular server using your a putty session or mobile xterm. So here I already connected to my mobile xterm, and then connected to couple of labs here. So you're gonna do a lab setup first, and once the lab setup is ready, you're gonna access them using a putty sessions or mobile xterm. And how you can use this mobile xterm and putty session, all this will be explained here in the first chapter and the second chapter. That's a basic fundamental setting up of the lab, very important one, because these are the labs where you can conduct your real-time hands-on experience, so that once you do your hands-on experience on the lab, you'll be confident enough to work on the client environment. So practice is very important. So labs are very, very important. So we'll do this lab setup end to end. Once the lab setup is done, then we'll start with the installation of database software and in creation of a particular database. So chapter number 3, 4, 5, we'll talk about how you can set up your Oracle software. So we have various Oracle recent changes or recent products. Like we can see a lot of 11G databases in the market. Even though 11G is end of support, 12C is also going to be end of support, and currently 19C is the one which is the longest support. And you still see many customers running 11G, 12C, and 19C. I'm going to explain about what are the changes in the installation respective 11G, 12C, and 19C. But this particular course is purely made up of 19C. Each and every concept will be covering based on 19C Oracle version. And at the same time, we'll be explaining about what are the changes happened between 11G, 12C, and 19C. with respect to architecture, with respect to installation, with respect to database creation, all will be covered here. And in this level, chapter number 3, 4, 5, where you can demonstrate on the various type of database installation, Oracle software installation, your GUI mode, silent mode, and many more. Like let's say if I get that installation mode here, so these are the various installation types where you can demonstrate, and based upon the client need, we'll go with the Oracle home and database creation, or Oracle home creation, database creation, and in silent mode or in the GUI mode, and in NFS, SAN, NAS, or ASM, or the rack installation. So various types. So we'll explain in detail about each and every type, the installation, how we can perform this installation with the GUI mode, without GUI mode, in silent mode, or command line mode, or both together, your database installation and Oracle software installation in one command line. Various options we can explore here in this chapter number 3, 4, 5, and followed by chapter number 6. Very, very important, understanding of Oracle architecture. As a DBA, entire our fundamental, or if you're working for any client as a DBA, your entire skill sets depending upon how good, how strong you are at understanding of Oracle architecture. Whether you work as a Oracle DBA, junior Oracle DBA, senior Oracle DBA, whether you work as a rack expert or golden gate expert or VM expert or Exata expert, all the your expertise is depending upon how good your understanding of fundamental architecture or fundamental concept of Oracle. So if you're not good at fundamental architecture, then you cannot work as any of the big customers, or you cannot work as a Oracle DBA. In any time, even if you are sleeping, and if somebody wake you up and ask you what is Oracle architecture, you should be able to explain architecture, each and every concept, clear and crisp, and without any hesitation or without any of the second thought. You should be able to seamlessly explain about each and every architecture, your instance, SGA, PGA, background process, your logical architecture of database and physical architecture of database, and what are the table spaces, what are the data files in your database, how the client connection works to your database. Each and every concept you should be able to explain without any other thought. You should be able to explain this architecture, each and every concept seamlessly. Even you are sleeping, even in your dream, you should be able to explain each and every concept. Then only it's going to make you strong, and you should be able to expand your knowledge, and you can quickly learn the other advanced concept on top of this database skill set. Like advanced concept meaning, as a DBA, learning this database is not enough. You have to learn data guard, you have to learn the golden gate, you have to learn the OEM, you have to learn the Oracle rack. So those are the advanced concept. You have to learn the Oracle wallet, you have to learn the Oracle TDE, Oracle OKV. So those are the advanced concept. When you are going to learn those advanced concept, when you are very strong at your fundamental architecture. And believe me, if you go for any new interview or any new customer or new client or new project, your 20 to 30% questions on architecture only. What is SGA? What is PGA? What is SMON? What is PMON? What is deburrator? What is logwriter? What is checkpointer? What is recoverer? What is archive or background process? And what is SGA? What is PGA? Inside SGA, again, so many sub-memory components. Your thread pool, large pool, Java pool, a stream pool, database buffer cache, log buffer cache. And what is PGA? Inside PGA, again, your user global area. What is stack space? And what is cursor area? What is sort area? What is bitmap area? What is temp area? Right? Those are your pure fundamental concept. So these are the questions you can get it in the interview. What deburrator will do? What logwriter will do? What checkpointer will do? What are mandatory background process? What are non-mandatory background process? Believe me, like 20 to 30% questions are in your fundamental architecture only. And who is going to write it from your database buffer cache to data file? Who is going to write it from the data file to database buffer cache? Who is going to write it from log buffer cache to your redo log files? How many redo log files I can have it? and what is my redo log size, what is my database buffer size, what is my redo log buffer size, and what are the dynamic memory component, right? So all this will come into picture once you fundamentally understand the architecture good, right? So again, as I said, this course is purely on the 19C architecture. So at the same times, we'll be covering what are the changes happened from 11G to 12C, 12C to 19C in the architecture perspective, so that your motto or intention is to you should be able to strong in the architecture. Once you are strong at the architecture and each and every component you are able to explain, and this is your core strength. Once you strong at this particular fundamental architecture, you can easily learn the other advanced skill sets: rack, golden gate, OEM, your wallet, TDE, OKV. All those concepts are very easy once you're strong at your architecture, right? So that we're going to spend most of the time in the architecture part. Once the architecture part is done, then we will move ahead with some other internal on top of the architecture. That is your database startup and shutdown sequence. So again, one more common questions. What is my database startup sequence? From shutdown to no mount to mount to open. And what are the files required for each of those? Like this is again a few common questions in the interview. What are your database startup sequence? So shutdown to no mount to mount, and mount to open. This is a typical database startup sequence. From shutdown to no mount, we're going to use SP file. SP file is the first priority. SP file is not there, we're going to go for P file. And then from no mount to mount, we're going to read the control file. If the control file is not there, my database will never go to mount mode. And from mount mode to open mode, we need all the data files as well as we need all the redo log files. If I don't have data file and redo log files, my database will never be opened. And my database is open, then only all the end users or application user is able to access the database, able to connect to database and perform their transactions. Your database has to be always in open mode. So my database is not getting into no mount mode. It means my SP file and P files are missing. My database is went into no mount mode but not going into mount mode. So that meaning my control files are missing. And my database is got mounted but it's not getting opened, meaning either data file or the redo log files are missing. So that is your database startup sequence. How you can do this startup sequence, how you can create this SP file, P file, control file, and these data files and redo log files will be detailed explained in the live demonstration here. And then we'll start with understanding each of those files, whatever I just explained. Right? Give me a second. Right. So we'll go ahead and then in deeper analysis of what is SP file, what is P file. Again, one of the common entry questions: what is P file and what is SP file? What is the content of that P file and SP file? What are the advantages of running my database in SP file and P file? And where are these SP file and P file are located? These are, you might be always thinking these questions you already faced in your few of the back interview, whatever you attended, right? So what is the advantages of running my database in SP file and P file? What are the dynamic parameter and static parameter? How can I change the static parameter? How can I change the dynamic parameter? Where are these SP file and P file are located? And is it the same location for your rack database and standalone database? And then on top of that, what is the control file? What it contains? Again, this is a common questions. Why we need control file? What it contains? Most of the interview might have faced this one. And my control files are missing. How you can restore them? And if the control files are missing, how you can restore them? Whether you have a control file multiplexing. What is control file multiplexing? And then what is the importance of control file? And then followed by your data files and redo log files. Again, in data files, we have many data files: system data file, sysdoc data file, undo data files, user data file, temp data files. And since we have these data files, we have associated logical structure, that is table spaces: system table space, sysdoc table space, undo table space, user table space, temp table space. And what are these data files? What it contains? My system data file or system table space, my undo data files or undo table space, my sysdoc data file or sysdoc table space. What these table spaces, what is data files, what it contains. right? Many common interview questions. And what is the user table space, or what is the user data files, what it contains? What is the temp data files or the temp table space, what it contains? What are the redo log files? Why we need a redo log files? What is the redo log file size should be? How many redo log files I can have it? What is the redo log multiplexing? So all are fundamental concept, a basic understanding, but very, very important for your database performance. And your database performance are all depend upon your control file. And one of the interview questions you might expect, my control file is big. Is there any impact on your database? Yes, there will be a lot of impact when your control file is a big. You have to recreate your control file. For example, your backups are slow, your restores are slow. The one of the underlying factor is your control file is big. Then how can I recreate my control file? Why my control file is grown up big? My database performance is very, very low. What might be the reason? My underlying data files are very, very slow. Why my data files are slow? Underlining your storage is slow. My IOs are very, very slow. My database is performance is slow because I am having my redo log files is small. When your redo log files are very small, you will be end up with lot of log switches in your database. When the database is having lot of log switches, your database is getting into performance issues. So how can I tune them? So those are the other hands-on experience will be demonstrating on all of this. How you can rebuild your SP file and P file, how you can rebuild your control file, how you can restore and recover your data files, how you can tune your redo log files or redo log size. So all will be very, 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 very fundamental things, but very, very critical aspects of your understanding of architecture and how you can support day-to-day activities under the architecture, under the database startup sequence, understanding of backend database files and SP file and P files and the password file. Very, very important thing, password file. Again, many of the DBAs not aware what is password file and what's the importance of the password file. Again, believe me, one of the common question in most of the interview. What is password file? Why we need a password file? And what are the advantages of this password file? So again, we'll go in deeper analysis in our regular course and we'll understand what is this password file. Just to give answer to these simple questions, what is password file, why we need it, what are the advantages? Again, this is a common question in most of the interview. Your answer should be password file is needed for two main purposes. One is assist user to connect to your database remotely, not locally. Remotely you want to connect, your password file is must. Authentication will happen through password file, via password file. And if you have prod and DR database, a DR database to be in sync with your prod, your password file is must. So your answer should be your sysdba remote login or remote authentication, password file needed, and your DR database to be in sync with your prod, password file are needed. So very, very important. And again, what is the tool you're going to use?
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Your voice is having some glitches.
Give me a second, guys.
How about now? Is it better?
Yes.
All right. Sorry for that. Okay. So those are the very, very fundamental
Good,
factors.
sir.
So that is your day-to-day activities. Again, you might be surprising now. By this time, I have already covered around 20 to 30 questions on the architecture part itself. And you might be already wondering, these are the questions I faced in the interview, right? So that is the way how the entire course will be explained. Each and every concept or the part will be explained with respect to what is expected fundamental questions in the real-time experience. So that is about the password file. Again, a memory management, automatic memory management. Again, in the password file itself, right? If I take few more minutes. What is OS authentication? What is password file authentication? What is remote authentication? And we used to connect database without any username and password. Let's say if I can quickly go to one of my database here, and I can, as a DBA, we can use SQL plus /s sysdba. So I'm able to connect to my database with a sys, and then my database is got connected. If I do show user, my user is connected. I nowhere mentioned sys as a user here. Or else let's say I can connect with the other method. Let's say sys user and sys password. So I can able to connect with the sys user and the sys password. What is this difference? I'm passing the username and password. Here I'm passing the just a slash without any username and password. Again, that is the other surprising things. What is that correlation with your password file? Again, that covers something called OS authentication and password file authentication. We'll go in deeper dive in our regular classes, but these are the fundamental questions or the concept you can expect in any of the interview. Right, then we'll cover each and every topic on SGA, PGA, automatic memory management. We have automatic memory management and automatic shared memory management. So AMM, automatic memory management, automatic shared memory management, ASMM. So what is this automatic memory management and automatic shared memory management? So very, very important concept. Your entire database performance depending upon your memory management. If you are going with automatic memory management or automatic shared memory management, your database will be optimal performance. If you are not going with AMM or automatic shared memory management, you may end up with having the database performance issues. Your SGA is not properly tuned, your PGA is not properly tuned, your database buffer cache is not enough, your read log buffer cache is not enough, your large pool is not enough, your large pool or Java pool or stream pool is not enough. So we're hitting the memory bottleneck. How you can tune that one? That is your memory management, automatic memory management or shared memory management. We'll go and then cover it. Again, there is a one fundamental basic questions you can get it on the memory management. How much SGA I can allocate for my database? How much PGA I can allocate for my database? What percentage? I have 10 GB RAM. Out of 10 GB, how much I can allocate for SGA? How much I can allocate for PGA? Again, in SGA, I said memory components are so many sub-memory component. Your shared pool, large pool, Java pool, stream pool, database buffer cache, large log buffer cache. Those are other sub-memory component. So how can I allocate all those sub-memory component? Is there any dynamic way I can allocate it? Or manually I need to allocate all of those memory component one by one? So that is your memory management. We'll go ahead and then explore more on those. And those are your fundamental, again, basic questions in any of the interview. What is automatic memory management? What is automatic shared memory management? How can I allocate this SGA and PGA? And example, I have 10 GB RAM in my server. How can I allocate my SGA? What thumb rule? What is the percentage I can allocate? And those are further fundamental concept will be covered here in the chapter number 7. And again, this is just a limited concept I mentioned here. On top of that, there are so many other things will be covered here. As I mentioned, just a password file. But in that password file, the tool what we're going to use it for creating the password file. How can I reset the sys password? And then other concept I explained is OS authentication and the password file authentication. What are those things? I can cover it here. I just mentioned the different SJ and PJ component, but inside that SJ and PJ, there's so many sub component. All will be covered, but those are not mentioned over here. Don't be get surprised that it is just SJ and PJ, but there's much more topics to cover, but I have not specified in this course curriculum here, but those all will be covered.
So again, your voice.
I think you're again breaking down.
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, it's good, sir.
It's good.
Yeah, better.
Great. Right. So in the chapter number 8, we'll go to the storage structure. Whatever we talked about is the instance side. My database instance, memory structure, background processes, and what are the mandatory background process, non-mandatory background process. Again, here if you mentioned, I never talked about the background process, but those all be covered as part of the architecture itself. My DB writer, log writer, checkpointer, and my SMON, PMON, very fundamental concept, but most of the commonly asked interview questions. What is job of my SMON? Instance recovery or the crash recovery. What is job of my PMON? Clean up any user sessions which are killed or which are terminated due to network issue. The PMON will take care of that. And DB writer, write dirty buffer from buffer cache to your data files. My log writer, write a content of my redo log buffer cache to my redo log files. And again, in this DB writer and log writer, we have certain options when this DB writer will write it, when the log writer will write it, from the buffer cache to data files, from the redo log buffer to your redo log files. What are the conditions these log writers or DB writer will write it? Give me a second. And what is checkpoint? What is SCN number? System change number. When this SCN number is going to generate? And what is the checkpoint? What checkpoint is going to do? So all will be covered in the architecture part itself. In the chapter number 8 is about table spaces, segments, extents, and data blocks, and 8K data blocks. How can I define my data block size? Most of the times my data block size is 8K. And why can't I go with 16K or 32K or 64K? Those are the supported block size. If I go to my database here, show parameter a block. So we have this 8K block size, DB block size. Why only 8K? Why can't I go with 16K or 32K or 64K? What are the advantages? When to go with a different block size? So that is the smallest unit of my database. Block size is the smallest unit of your database. And that's a one-time definition. Once you define the block size, you don't have any option to change that block size. You have to drop your database and recreate your database with a different block size. Again, these are common questions in the interview. How can I change my block size? Answer is no. You don't have option to change your block size. That's a one-time definition at the time of your database creation. And then on top of the blocks, extents. And the combination of extent will form a segment, and form of group of segment will form your table space. And those table space are mapped to your data files. System data file, system table space. Sysog data file, sysog table space. Your undo data file, undo table space. Your user data file, user table space. And your temp data file, temp table space. So what are these table spaces? What are those data files? How can I manage those table spaces? Dictionary managed and locally managed. And automatic segment or automatic space management, and understanding of the segment and extent and database blocks and how they're related. And data block size, how can I change it? What are the different block size? And then what are these correlation between the blocks, extent, segments, and the table spaces? And if a user connected to my database and he created a table called employee, how that employee table is going to store in my data file, how that employee table is going to store in my table space, how that employee table is going to store in this segment, extent, and the data blocks. As an end user, he just created a table, employee, with the 3-4 columns, employee name, employee ID, employee salary. But how database is going to store that particular table? And the end user created that table with 3-4 columns and he inserted 1 million record. And what are those records? How they are going to store it inside my data files, inside my table space, inside my segment, inside my extent, inside my data blocks? What are that correlation from the end user table creation and inserting the 1 million record to the database backend? How that particular table, how that particular 1 million rows are going to be stored at the database side in the form of table space, in the form of data files, in the form of segment, in the form of extent, in the form of data blocks, and in the form of row pieces. So that is very core fundamental workflow, how the data will be stored from the end user to a backend data in my database. So will be explained in concept with a real-time practical demonstration how the blocks will be stored. For example, if I can quickly show that particular the flow or workflow in our PPT here. So this is how it works. So your logical structure and physical structure, a database to a table space to a segment to a extent and to a data blocks. I'm not going to cover all of them. It will be part of our actual course, but this is a flow, and this table space is made up of your data files. As I just mentioned, we have various table spaces like system, sysocs, undo, user, temp. Various table spaces are mapped to various data files: system data files, syssoc data files, undo data files, user data file, temp data files. And all of these data files are residing under SAN, NAS, ASM, Exadata, and your local file system, raw file system. And this particular, the flow or the relation will go further in detail understanding here. Your data files, and that data files are part of the table spaces, and that data files is made up of extend your data blocks, extends and segment, and any end user create a table, employee table, and that employee table is mapped to a segment, and that's a further correlation. We'll explain it in your real-time example. And what will be my data file size, how big that data file can go: 32 GB, 64 GB, or 128 GB, or 128 TB. And what are the big file table spaces, small file table spaces, and then how this particular 8K block size will be made up of. So your 8K block will be made up of your row pieces. Each of those 8K block will be entered into as a row pieces. Let's say user created a table of employee with inserted 1 million rows, and those 1 million rows will be converted as a 1 million row pieces. All those row pieces will be inserted into that 8K block size, and then data will be retrieved from that particular blocks. And my query is taking more time, that is depending upon this block size and depending upon your row pieces. And in the row pieces concept, we're going to explain a two important concept called row chaining and row migration. If your database is having row chaining and row migration, that is one of the performance bottleneck. My queries are taking more time. That is because of row chaining and row migration. And how can I avoid this row chaining and row migration? Various options we have: it table move, table shrink, export, import. By using that one, we're gonna reduce this row chaining and row migration. And again, with the help of these row pieces, we have one more concept, that's the internal concept called high watermark. That is a particular to each block having that high watermark. What is the high watermark, and how that high watermark is going to be impact my database performance? And a simple concept on the high watermark: any data you are going to insert, the insert will always happen on top of the high watermark. Any select query you run, any read operations, read operation will happen always below the high watermark, right? You might be surprising now. These are the words. I heard these words: high watermark. I heard this row chaining, row migration. I heard this data blocks, row pieces. I heard this extend, segment, data blocks, table spaces, data files. In my interview, many of my seniors are talking about these topics, but I never get a chance to explore this concept. But I'm reading many of the blogs in the internet, but I'm not getting a clear understanding or the clear picture of this concept. Believe me, once you attend this particular course, and these all topics are going to be your a simple concept, and you can able to explain all these concepts very seamlessly. So up to these chapters, chapter number 6, 7, 8 are going to be very fundamental and going to be craziest chapters uh, throughout this entire course. Remaining all chapters are going to be again interesting chapters, but these chapters are very fundamental chapters and going to be blow your minds. Because once you clear with this concept here, this chapter number 6, 7, 8, rest of the chapters are kind of easily manageable. You can easily handle any of the further concept or any of the further database concept or your database day-to-day activities once you are strong at this particular three chapters: fundamental architecture, your instance management, your backend storage management. If you are thorough with these three chapters, then remaining all chapters are like it's a similar concept and you can be easily handle it. Right. I think it's too much. I'm going to take a pause here for a minute if anyone has any questions so far. Or it may be anything like, you came across some of the interview questions or you came across some of the concept on these topics here. Again, feel free to ask based upon what I covered so far. And don't jump and ask questions on the ASM or ask questions on the PDBs and CDBs or ask questions on the backups and recovery. I'm yet to cover this concept furthermore. And again, believe me, I'm going to cover each and every commonly asked questions when I'm explaining the further concept. But so far, I'll take a pause or minute if anyone has any questions around this architecture part. You might be faced in the previous interview, or you might be faced in your day-to-day discussion with your junior DB or seniors. Right? I'll take a pause here for a minute if anyone has any questions so far. All right, guys. So feel free to unmute again. Make it as interactive. I know it is getting interesting, but I would like to take a questions rather than I'm single person explaining. If anyone
Okay,
has any,
yeah, I have a question. So let's say you are doing a database, you are at a designing pass and you have to install a database. So at OS level, how would you manage or how would you explain that how much RAM would be required for your particular database to do the installation and to work well?
right,
Means how would you decide that whether it will be 16 GB, whether it will be 32 GB, or you'll be required 64 GB, and how much CPUs would be required, and what would be the core processors?
right,
So
right.
regarding that.
Yeah, very, very good question. Again, the question is totally depend on the architect. So again, that's a career path. Once you work as a junior Oracle DBA, senior Oracle DBA, Oracle SME, subject matter expert, that will be depend upon how many years of experience you have it. So if you're working as 1 to 5 years, you'll be working as a junior DBA, and you're working with the 5 to 8 years, 5 to 10 years, you will be working as a senior Oracle DBA. And anything from the 10 years to 14 years or 15 years, you'll be working as a SME or database architect. And anything above 15 years, you'll be working as a solution architect. So it's a job of a solution architect who is going to decide all this. So believe me, like let's say you are building a brand new project, a brand new client. The client is new. It's a totally new infrastructure you are going to build for them. Then defining this SGA, PGA, defining the core, defining the CPU, defining the processor, defining the hardware are going to be a job of a solution architect. You are going to work with the application team and you're going to understand the client requirement, what type of the client, what type of the database they're going to build, what type of the application it is. Is it a OLTP or OLAP? And based upon that, and how many users are connecting to my database at any given point of time, 1,000 users are connecting. At any given point of time, 2,000 users are connecting. Based upon the what type of database, how many users are connecting, based upon that, we are going to define what is the CPU and what is the RAM, what's the SGA and PGA. So that is totally a designer, the solution architect job for a brand new projects. And now already project is running. My production servers are up and running. I'm building a new database for the development. I'm building new database for the test or the UAT. And that my job is very simple. So I can refer my production database settings and based upon the production database settings, I can build the remaining rest all the development or test or UAT. So to answer to your questions, it depends upon what type of database and how many users are connecting to your database at any given time. So let's say I have a simple thumb rule. I have a 10 GB RAM in my database, and then I have to define my SGA and I have to define my PGA. So your database is, let's say, OLTP, and your database is OLAP. So OLTP is online transaction processing, OLAP is online analytical processing. So if it's a OLTP, you need more SGA. If it's a OLAP, you need more PGA. That's the thumb rule you have to understand. So if it's the OLAP, you can either go with the 50% and 50% SGA and PGA, or you can go with your SGA 40%. You can go with a 60%. That is SGA and PGA, how you can define 50-50 or 40-50. And your OLAP, your SGA should be more online transaction. So you can go with the 80% for SGA, 20% for your PGA, or even you can go with the 70% for SGA and 30% for PGA. So you have to concentrate on whether OLAP or OLTP. Based upon that, you have to define your SGA and PGA. So that is SGA and PGA you're going to define. But now my RAM is 10 GB at OS level. First, I need to preserve 80% for my DB and 20% for my OS. So out of 10 GB, let's say 2 GB for my OS operation and 8 GB for my database operation. Out of this 8 GB, I need to define SGA and PGA. So in this 8 GB, you can go with 80%, 20% or 70%, 30% in this 8 GB for OLTP, and the same thing 8 GB you can define it for 50-50, 4 GB 4 GB or 40-60% for OLAP. So this is just a thumb rule I given it considering 10 GB as a RAM. So you have to literally a job of your solution architect who is going to work with your application team and who is going to understand the application requirement, what type of database and how many users are going to connect at any given point of time, and based upon that we're going to define SGA and PGA. But to simple to answer these questions in interview, if you face this one, you have to able to explain this concept, then that's fair enough. But it's not that easy what I explained here. You're going to do it in the real time. In the real time world, you have to work with your application team and understand the application and how many users are connecting. Based upon that, what type of a query they're running, what's the maximum query they're going to execute. Based upon that, you're going to define your SG and PG and your CPUs and RAM. And then what's your backup performance? And based upon that, you're going to define what will be your CPU. And you have to work with your application team and what they're doing it. Are they doing any application loading? Then you have to go with the more CPUs. If they have wish to load the data from the other sources and into your database, so then you have to go with the more and more CPUs. For application data loading is one of the time consuming or IO priority job. So you have to go with the more CPUs on that. So it's a purely a job of a solution architect who is going to define it based upon the client need or based upon the client requirement or the application need or application requirement. So that is mutual understanding between your application team and the client, and then you're going to design it. But again, as I said, if it's a brand new project and brand new installation, it's a job of the solution architect. We have to work with the application team and the client. If it is already existing project, so you have to take a reference to your prod, and based upon that, you have to lower the environment development and test and UAT, and you no need to have similar to your production capacity. You can reduce it at based upon how much you can compromise your queries or the reports. All right.
Okay,
That's the answer to that.
in relation to this, so will you be explaining the concept of OLTP, OLAP, and data warehouse as well?
Right.
Okay.
All right. So I'll move on with the time consideration. Let's go with the further topics what I have it in this course. The ASM architecture. So your database can run on the OS file system or your database can run on ASM. ASM is automatic storage management. This is a storage provided by Oracle. So you can build your own storage and you can run your database on ASM. And Oracle strongly recommend to run your database on the ASM storage. The advantage with the ASM storage is your database should be having the optimal reads and write, your high speed IOs. Your Oracle database will work with the high speed IOs when your database running under ASM. And we have to understand that ASM architecture and ASM advantages. And once your database is running under ASM, my DBA jobs or DBA responsibility become more. When your database is running under OS storage, your OS admin or the storage admin will take care of the storage part. But when your database is running under ASM, DBA, we need to take care of our storage. For example, here, quick demo. This particular server, if I do ps-ef grep smon, I have a dev DB database, and this particular lab one, where my database is running under OS storage. I have this lab 2 here. If I do ps-ef grep smon, I have this test DB. My test DB is running under this ASM plus ASM. This database is running under this ASM, and this particular dev database is running under the OS file system. I don't have any ASM here. If I connect to my database, if I do select name from VDLR data file, so all my data files here, system, sysocs, undo users, all are located under use your own app, Oracle, Wala data, DevDB, and data file. That's my OS file system. If I do go into that CD, into that OS file system, do ls, I can see all these data files. And this is my OS file system. If I do a df-h, that is 84 GB, the root file system. My database is running under this OS file system, dev mapper ol-root. So this storage is provided by my storage admin or OS admin, and anything issue on the IOs, read and write, and any issue at the storage file system, I have to engage my Linux admin. Whenever this root file system is 99%, 100% full, I need to engage my Linux admin to increase my OS file system so that my database is continue to run. If the Linux admin did not increase, my database will crash. No further operations on my database. Whereas a test DB here, and if I set the environment to test DB, so if I run the same query, select name from with other data files, again data file and all, we'll explain it in our regular classes. I have this system, sysocs, undo users, which is running under plus. Anything start with a plus, that meaning database is running under ASM storage. Anything start with this slash, meaning database is running under OS file system. So if I come out of this and then try to log in CD into that, it's not going to work because this is the ASM storage, not the normal OS file system storage. You have to connect to that ASM command line to access this ASM storage. So ps-ef grep smon, this ASM, I need to set the environment to plus ASM now. So I have to go into ASM cmd. So that will take you to ASM command line. That's the ASM storage. Now you can do CD into that. Now do ls-l. So you can see the system, sysocs, undo user. Again, there are so many other properties we'll discuss on our regular classes. And we have lsdg, list disk group. I have this data disk group, which is of 20 GB. Out of 20 GB, 17 GB is free. Means 3 GB is used, 17 GB is free. So whenever this data disk group is full, as the DBA, I can increase this data disk group by adding one more ASM disk. Right, that is a DBA job here. So I can easily increase my size, I can decrease my size, and whenever there's a issue on the disk, I can easily replace and I can do my own job. ASM is one of the storage advantages where your database reads and writes or IOs are very, very high when your database is running under ASM storage as compared to your database running under OS file system. And whenever there's a space need, as a DB, I can go and increase my ASM size and I can take care of my ASM storage. I no need to depend upon my Linux admin. So that is very, very important concept. We are going to go ahead and then understand ASM architecture, ASM instance, ASM storage, all the ASM disk groups, data, RICO, FRA, and we have redundancies. We have redundancies external, normal, high, and how can I increase my ASM disk group? How can I add a disk? How can I drop a disk? How can I create my ASM disk group? And if I don't need ASM disk group, how can I drop them? And then all those concepts will be covered under this ASM administration and ASM architecture, managing your disk group and moving your data file from one ASM disk group to other ASM disk group. So all those will be one of the fundamental concepts for ASM. Right, so that is again very best recommendation from Oracle. Your database has to run under ASM to get the optimal best performance on the reads and writes than the database running under OS file system. Right, in the chapter number 10, we'll go with the PDBs and CDBs. So this is going to be one of the basic understanding, fundamental understanding for any DBS, because Oracle has made multi-tenant architecture as a mandatory starting with the 21C. So far, let's say 7i, 8i, 9i, 10G, 11G. So these are like older Oracle version. Till 7i to 11G, normal database architecture. There's only one architecture in Oracle. And starting with the 12C, Oracle came up with the multi-tenant architecture. Along with the normal database architecture, they came up with this multi-tenant architecture. At the time of your database creation, you're going to run DBCA, GUI mode database creation. You're going to get you option whether you want to create a normal database or whether you want to create a database as a multi-tenant database. When your database is running under 12C. When your database is running under 18C, again Oracle provided these two options, normal database architecture or multi-tenant architecture. And when you run your DBCA, database creation, again they're going to ask you whether you want to create a database as a normal database or multi-tenant database. Same thing goes for your 19C. Oracle has given again two options, normal database architecture or multi-tenant architecture. And when you run DBCA, database creation, again they're going to give you what type of database you want, normal database or multi-tenant database. So these options, that multi-tenant database came in 12C, fair enough, and that is supported in 18C and 19C. And Oracle has not removed that normal database architecture in 12C, 18C, 19C. Along with the new architecture, multi-tenant architecture, they kept that normal database architecture as it is. But whereas after 19C, 21C version, it is only multi-tenant architecture. There is no more normal database architecture in 12C onwards. The moment you install 21C software, it will be multi-tenant architecture. When you run your DBCA, default your database is created as a multi-tenant database, no normal database architecture. So the same thing is continued with the 23C and 23 AI. So any further release from Oracle, it's always multi-tenant architecture, no more normal database architecture concept. So with that, Oracle focused, or Oracle is strongly pushing all the DBAs or all the client to use a multi-tenant architecture. That is going to be one of the fundamental architecture going forward with the 21C onwards. There's no normal database architecture concept. So with that, understanding and learning multi-tenant architecture are going to be one of the key benefits or key skill set for the DBAs. All the DBAs have to learn this multi-tenant architecture. CDBs and PDBs, CDB cloning, PDB cloning. How can I clone my PDBs within the CDB with the remote CDB from one CDB to another CDB? And then how can I allocate my SGA, PGA inside my CDBs? What are the file system structure for my CDBs and PDBs? How can I allocate my SGA, PGA at PDB level, CDB level? How can I take a backup of PDBs and CDBs? How can I restore my CDBs and PDBs? How can I clone my PDBs and CDBs? And what are the architecture? How it's going to differ from normal database? So everything will be covered with a live demonstration on cloning of my CDBs and PDBs and backups and restores and recoveries of my PDBs and CDBs. So that is very, very new, and it's a must concept we have to understand. So we're gonna go in deep dive of all these PDBs and CDB concept here. Right. And then chapter number 11 is about the networking. Networking meaning the connectivity. Connectivity of like your database, how end user is going to connect to your database with the TNS, with the listeners, and with SQLnet.ora. How we can connect to database using SQL developer or the Toad. And we have so many concepts in the listeners and TNS. In the listener, again, we have a dynamic registration, we have static registration, and then how we can build listener, how we can build a TNS files, listener file, where the TNS file is needed, where the listener file is needed. Again, listener file is called server side parameter or network file, or the TNS file is called client side network file. TNS we need it as a client side. Listener we need it as a server side where your database is running. And how can I create my listener and TNS? Various options manually with a VI command line, with a netca or with a netmgr, and as part of your database creation DBCA you can create. And then what is the SQL netdata file? How can I create? And then how can I connect my database using this remote application Toad or my SQL developer? Right. So that is one of the common issues you can face it. The TNS adapter and the TNS does not know the running services. Most of the common errors will deal with that, and we're going to demonstrate all of them in this chapter number 11. Chapter number 12, the user management. Very, very important. We're going to talk about how to create a user, how to allocate the table space, how to allocate the quota space for him, and then what are the privileges we're going to allocate for that user. There are system privileges and there are object privileges. What are the system level privileges? What are the object level privileges? The privileges with the grant option, the privileges with the admin options, and what are the roles? How can I assign the role to user? And what are the profiles? How can I limit the user activities by assigning the profile? What are the profile? And again, in the user, again, you can get the common questions or the common activities in the real-time world. I have a user A. Can you create a user B similar to this user A? This user has a 10 permissions. I have to create a user B. I have to give the same 10 permissions. So there might be questions. Can you get what all the privileges this user has it? So how can I restrict this user not to use more than 10 GB? This user can use only 10 GB space in my database, not more than that. That's a quota. We can assign the quota for that. How can limit this particular user? He has to use this much of CPU, this much of RAM, this much of SGA. That is a profile. With the help of profile, I can limit this user activity. Again, I'm not talking about auditing. Auditing is a different story, but I'm talking about the user's roles, privileges, permissions. And if the user connected to my database and he created a table, employee table, where this employee table is going to store, which table space is going to store, system, sysocs, undo, user, temp, which data file this is going to store, system data file, sysoc data file, undo data file, user data file, temp data file, where this particular table is going to store for the user who was connected to my database, created this particular employee table. So whether this user A is able to create a table or not, what privileges he need it. So all will be discussed in this user management. Right. So then when the user management is done, then chapter number 13, 14, 15 is all talks about the RMAN. So one of the critical part of a DBA job is to setting the backup policies for my database, because whenever there's a crash in my production database, how quickly I can restore my database using the backup. So in the real-time world, we talk about RTO, RPO. So any client you can interact, they will be concentrated about RTO and RPO. All will be depending upon your backup policies. Recovery time objective, recovery point objective. So I have a production database. Prod database is running. So this is time right now 9:48. 9:48 AM India timing this is. My database is got crashed. Production database got crashed. And then this database is backed up using RMAN backup. Using this backup, how quickly I can restore my production database back. Recovery time objective. How quickly I can restore. I need 1 hour to restore my database. I need 2 hours to restore my database. I need 3 hours to restore my database. I need 4 hours to restore my database. That is RTO, recovery time objective. Recovery point objective. That is, right now my database is crashed at 9:48. I can able to restore my database up to this 9:48 AM, meaning there won't be any data loss. My recovery point objective is reach 0. So 9:48 my database is crashed, but with the help of my backup strategy, with the help of my available archive logs, I'm able to restore my database till 9:30. So this 18 minutes is the data loss. That's the RPO. Recovery point objective is 18 minutes. I don't have archive log of last 18 minutes, so I'll not be able to restore database up to 9:48. I can able to restore database up to 9:30. That's my RPO. So your management terminologies, they will call it as RTO and RPO. RTO is how quickly I can restore my database in case of production database crash happened with help of my existing backup. 1 hour, 2 hour, 10 hour, 24 hours. Again, it all depending upon your database size. Whether 10 terabyte is database size or 20 terabyte is your database size or 100 terabyte is your database size. And what are the CPUs and RAMs are available with help of multiple RMAN channels, allocating 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 channels. How quickly I can restore my production database back. That's my RTO. And then how quickly, at what point in time I can restore, that's the RPO, recovery point objective. How much data I'm gonna compromising, how much data loss I'm okay to bear with. So that is RTO and RPO. That is all depending upon how strong your backup strategy is. Your L0 Sunday backup, L1 backup from Monday to Saturday. So L0 is the full backup, L1 is the incremental backup, and I'm going to set it from Monday to Saturday, and Sunday I'm going to run that L0 full backup. And again, in the backup, we have a backup as a backup set, backup as a image copies, backup set or image copies. And then how can optimize my backups? How can I optimize my backups? By enabling optimizer settings in the RMAN, allocating multiple RMAN channel, and by enabling the BCT, blockchain stacking. And then how much RMAN channels I can allocate? A 2, 4, 8, 10. It's all based upon your CPUs. How many CPUs you have it? Based upon the number of CPUs, you can allocate multiple parallel RMAN channels for your backups to speed up or increase your backup strategy. Again, one of the common questions in the interview, my L1 backup used to run in 2 hours. All of a sudden today it is running from last 5 hours. What might be the root cause? How can I troubleshoot? And what is my L0 backup? What are my L1 backup? What is my blockchain stacking? And what is my backup set? What is my image copies? What are my absolute backups? What are my expired backup? What is my retention policy? What is my control file auto backup? What is my section size in my RMAN? And then I have a 10 terabyte of data file. How can I take that 10 terabyte big file data file? How can I take my data file backup using a section size? What is this section size? And we have a backup pieces and we have a backup set. What is backup set and what is backup piece? Right, these all terminologies we talk about with respect to backups, RMAN backups. And we do have other backups like cold backup, hot backup, which is a traditional old way of backing up. But whatever I talked so far is all RMAN related stuffs. And once you take these backups and set up your strong backup policy, which will define your RTO and RPO, and with help of those backup, whatever available from production, I can do this RMAN cloning. We have RMAN cloning, RMAN restore and recover, RMAN duplicate. In RMAN duplicate, we have RMAN active database duplicate, RMAN backup based duplicate. Restore and recovery is one method to restore your database. RMAN duplicate is the other method. In the RMAN duplicate, you can go with RMAN active database duplicate. Without any backup, you can build your new database or development database. With the help of RMAN backup, you can do RMAN duplicate. What's the difference between RMAN restore and recover and RMAN duplicate? And how can I restore my RAG database to standalone? How can I build my standalone database to rack database using Armen backup? How can I build my standby database using my prod backup with help of Armen? So all will be your backup and restore and recover and Armen cloning. So there will be a lot of things. I'm just talking about only backups and restore of your entire database. And there are so many other concepts like my control files are got deleted. How can I restore my control file using Armen backup? My SP file got deleted. How can I restore my SP file using Armen backup? How can I backup my SP file alone? How can I backup my control file alone? My system data files deleted. How can I restore them? My system data files are deleted. How can I restore them? My undo data files are deleted. How can I restore them? My user data files are deleted. How can I restore them? And in Armen side, there is the block corruption. The block corruption on your data files. The block corruption on your backups. Block corruption on your data files. With the help of backups, you can recover those block corruption. The block corruption on your backups, the backups are useless. How can I validate whatever the backup I took is a valid backup? There's a Armen validate. Come on, with the help of Armen validate, we can see either is there any corruption in my backups. If there's any corruption in my backups, those backups are kind of useless. I cannot use those backups for any restore or any recovery. And if there's a corruption on my actual physical data files for my database side, the block corruption, I can recover that block corruption using that valid backups. So one of the DBA job is to make sure that your backups are valid. After everyday backup, make sure that your backups are valid. There won't be any corruption in the backups. Let's assume your production database is crashed and your yesterday backup having the corruption, and you cannot use the yesterday backup. You will be in a critical situation. You will not be able to restore your production database back. Your entire business is down. So very, very critical. One of the backbone is setting up of your strong backup strategy for any organization. So which is a critical job for DBA to set up a backup and make sure that that backup is valid. And then we're going to use that backup for restore and recover to build a development database or the test database or UAT database using your prod database. And also you can use that same backup to build your standby database. All right, that's too much. Again, all will be demonstrated in the real-time exercise, but for now, that's the concept of what we're covering. Again, there'll be only few things are mentioned here, but whatever I explained is too much. Your backups at image copies, your backup pieces, and your L0, L1, and your Armen cloning, Armen duplicate, your blockchain tracking, how you can improve the backup side, channels, auxiliary channels, or your Armen active database duplicate, Armen duplicate from backup, all will be covered. And but those will not be mentioned here, but those all will be part of this particular course. Right. In the chapter number 16 is patches. So one of the fundamental concept, any DBA working for any client will be get a chance to do a patching once in a quarter or once in a 2 quarter or once in a year. It is very, very must. We have to apply the patches on the Oracle database to keep my database vulnerability compliance, security compliance. So there will be a lot of naming convention for the patches, the PSUs, patch set update, CPUs, a critical patch update, quarterly patch update, bundle patches, one-off patches, merge patches, intermediate patches, overlay patches, hot patches, patch set update. There are so many terminologies Oracle will gonna call it based upon the need, and then how we were going to apply the patch. What are the different types of patches? What I just explained, and then OPatch is a patching tool, and we have a OPatch which is a manual method, and we have OPatch Auto. OPatch, which is a manual method, we have OPatch Auto, which is automatic. So how can I apply the patching by manual using OPatch? How can I apply the patching using OPatch Auto, which is automatic? What's the difference between OPatch versus OPatch Auto? How can I apply patches at my GI, grid infrastructure, or the ASM? You can call it as a grid infrastructure or ASM, both are one and same. How can I apply patches on my Oracle home? We're going to apply the patches on GI Home and ASM Home, and we're going to apply the patches on Oracle Home, and we're going to use either OPatch or OPatch Auto based upon the need. And then once we apply the patch on this Oracle binaries, we're going to use something called data patch. Again, one more tool, data patch. With the help of data patch, we're going to patch our database at DB level. This OPatch and OPatch Auto is the binary level. Oracle Home and Grid Home binary level. We'll apply the patch, and whatever the patch we applied to reflect at my database side, we use something called data patch, and then the data patch at my database level. So some of the common questions in the interview: can I run data patch on multiple database parallelly? Yes, you can run it. Till 12C1, the data patch parallelism is not supported, but 12C release 2 onwards, Oracle is supported with a multiple data patch. You can run multiple data patch against multiple databases. So what's the difference between OPatch and OPatch Auto? One of the common entry questions. What is OPatch? What is OPatch Auto? And what are the steps for GI patching? What are the steps for Oracle Home patching? And what are the different types of patches are available with Oracle? And can I run OPatch or OPatch Auto parallelly? Answer is no. You cannot run OPatch or OPatch Auto parallelly. It's always one OPatch or one OPatch Auto, one at a time, one command at a time. So why we cannot run a parallel OPatch? Again, we'll discuss in further classes, in our regular classes. So we have something called central inventory and local inventory. Again, common questions around this. What is central inventory? What is local inventory? Because of this central inventory and local inventory, you cannot run this parallel OPatch command. It will be always one OPatch at a time. But whereas data patch, you can run it at multiple threads or multiple sessions against multiple databases. So these are must things. You have to do a OPatch or OPatch Auto at the binary level, and you have to run the data patch at the database level. Both are must. If you patch your binaries, Grid Home and Oracle Home using OPatch and OPatch Auto, if you don't do data patch, as if you are not applied any patch, the new features will not be applied or reflected at your database side. You have to do a OPatch or OPatch Auto, plus you have to do a data patch at database side. So Oracle is going to release patches on quarterly basis. Every quarterly, 4 times in 1 year, Oracle releases these patches. It's a DBA job to apply these patches on Oracle level. So typically Oracle will release patches on Jan every year, April every year, and July every year, October every year. Right, so it's a DBA job to apply these patches on our binary level at our database level to keep my database vulnerability free or security compliance. That's a very must things we have to do it. Again, we'll discuss more on the patches, but again, these are the common questions you can expect on the interview side. What is OPatch, OPatch Auto? What is data patch? And what are the types of patches? What are PSUs? What are CPUs? What are bundle patch? What are one-up patch? What are the interim patch? Diagnostic patch? Overlay patch? And then what is rolling patching? What is non-rolling patching? Again, rolling and non-rolling comes into picture in case of rack. We'll talk all those in details. And what are the patch storage? Where these patches are going to be stored once we apply it? And how can I roll back the patches? How can I do rolling and non-rolling patching in case of rack? All those will be covered here. Right. Chapter number 17 is for the database upgrade, and chapter number 18 is a data guard. Again, 2 more important concept. Database upgrade, again, very rare scenario. You can get to work on the client environment, provided if there's a project for database upgradation. So database upgradation from 11G, you can upgrade it to 19C. From 12C, you can upgrade to 19C. From 18C, you can upgrade to 19C. There's a direct upgrade is supported. If any database with a 10G or lower version, you have to first upgrade it to 11G or 12C or 18C. Once you upgrade it to this any of these version, then go for 19C. So this database upgradation, you can go with the manual method, command line upgradation. You can go with the GUI method, DBA database upgrade assistant, DBA GUI method upgrade. You can go with the Perl script, or you can go with the Shell script, or you can go with the 19C new feature called 19C auto upgrade. You can use the 19C auto upgrade tool to do the database upgrade. What are the pre-checks should be taken? What are the post-checks should be taken for the database upgrade? Will be explained in details. And then my database is upgrade is taking more time. What will be the root cause? We have something called dictionary stats and fixed object stats, and we have something called recycle bin. We have to make sure that do a gather stats on dictionary, do a gather stats on fixed object, and if there's any object in the recycle bin, we have to clean up them and make sure that your registry objects are all valid. Make sure that your DBA components are all valid. After doing all this, your database upgrade go fine. If you have not done any of these checks, your database upgrade may be hang. It's going to take longer time. Same thing goes for your patching as well. I ran the data patch at my database side. The data patch is kind of a hanging. What's the reason? So same thing, your dictionary stats, fixed object stats, your DBA recycle bin has so many deleted objects, your DBA registry component and your registry components are all invalid. Because of that, your data patch can hang, your upgrade command can hang. So very, very important to do a lot of pre-checks, lot of post-checks. Like you're going to upgrade it from 12C to 19C. You're going to change your Oracle home from 12C to 19C. You have to copy all your TNS files, your listeners, your TNS, your SQLnet.org file, and whatever the DB links you created, all the DB link has to be tested after the upgrade. There are a lot of pre-checks and post-checks you have to do it. And in case of my upgrade, in the middle of the upgrade got failed, how we can roll back? And we have something called restore point, and we have called guarantee restore point. With the help of restore point and guarantee restore point, we're going to do a flashback my database to bring back to a 12C. In case of upgrade got failed, my database is half upgraded and half not upgraded, and which is not getting started. So I have to roll back. So I can go with a restore point or guarantee restore point to flashback my database. And then this is going to end up with generating a flashback logs. So we should have enough FRA, flash recovery area, to accommodate all the flashback logs. Again, how to define FRA, how many flashback logs going to generated based upon your database activities, right? We'll discuss in our regular classes. Right, that's all about database upgrade, how intelligently or how cautiously we're going to handle that upgrade. And in case of upgrade failure, how we can handle it, how we can fix it, which log to check it out and take a necessary action. Right, data guard, again, one of the a backbone along with the business continuity plan. As I said in the backup and recovery section, I have prod database. I should have strong backups to do a restore and recover in case of production database crash. And that is again, as I mentioned, RTO, RPO. How quickly I can restore my database, how much data loss I'm going to bear with that. That's backup is going to define. So this data guard, so for this prod database, I'm going to set up DR database. So whatever the transactions are going to happen here, all the transactions will be sifted here and applied on the standby side or DR side. So let's say your database is of 100 TB. Your database crash happened. Again at this time, 10 o'clock, 8 minutes. 10 o'clock, 8 minutes, your database crash happened. Your database is of 100 TB. I need to restore this backup back to my production, and this 100 TB restore is going to take 24 hours. 24 hours, your production database is down. So is your business or the end users are okay to get that 24 hours of downtime? No. In that case, what you can do, your database is crashed, your database is already having the DR setup, your prod database is up to date, your DR is up to date, it is synced with your prod, and you can restore this database tomorrow, but you can make this database as a prod database now, and you can route all the end user connection to this database. So, and you can run your business. Let's say you're going to open this DR database, and the end user is going to connect to this DR database. That may take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes, and only 30 minutes is the downtime for you. and all the end users have started connecting to your DR, and then they started accessing your database, and your business is continued. That's your business continuity plan. How quickly you can bring your business back. DR is very, very important scenario. When the production crash happens, you can bring up your DR database, and all the end users will start continuing to connect to the DR, and your business is back to online. Later, you can go ahead and then build your whatever the production database which is crashed. Right. So many questions around this DR here. How to set up that prod and DR setup. We're going to do a live demonstration. My DR goes out of sync. Prod and DR is out of sync. My DR is not in sync with your prod. How to make it in sync? My FRA is full. My database is hang. What's the impact on DR? How to deal with that particular FRA full? My database is hang. How to bring the database back online? And what are the different types of a DR database? The physical standby, logical standby, snapshot standby. These are the three different types of standby. And then how can I build them? What are the different types of or different modes of my standby database? The maximum protection is one mode. Maximum availability is another mode. Maximum performance is another mode. What are these different three types of modes? What is their characteristics? Which is good for production? What are these different types of standby database? Physical standby, logical standby, snapshot standby. Which is good for production? What are the characteristics of these different three types of standby? And we have something called active data guard. Again, you might be heard in the interview questions, right? Active data guard. What is this active data guard? What's the advantages? Do I need a separate license for this active data guard? Can I run RMAN backup on the database data guard side? Because RMAN, my database is of 100 terabyte. If I run my level 0, level 1 backup on my production side, which is going to take 10 hours or 15 hours, that much of load I'm putting on my production side. I don't want to put the load on the production side. Can I run that RMAN backup on the DR side? So are those DR backups, if I run it, will be able to restore my production database in case of crash? Can I enable blockchain tracking, BCT, on my DR site? Right. So those are all the common entry questions. And also, let's say one more common entry questions. I have prod database here, and this prod database has a DR setup. Like one thing I mentioned, RMAN. My RMAN backup is going to run for 15 hours. The 15 hours of load it is putting on my production side. I don't want to run my RMAN backup here. Can I run my RMAN backup here on the DR side? Yes, you can do that. Can I enable BCT? Again, this is one of the common question in the interview. What is BCT? Blockchain tracking. To make your RMAN backup level 1 backup speed up, we use this BCT. Can I enable RMAN BCT on my DR side to improve the backup? Yes, you can do that. And we have something called active data guard. What is active data guard? Again, we mentioned three types of data guards, and we mentioned three modes of my database, data guard database. What are the three modes? What are the three types? What are the advantages? What are the characteristics? So I think I have a reporting queries, reporting query 1, reporting query 2, and reporting query 3. There are some multiple reporting queries will run on my production side. Each of these reporting queries will run 5 hours. These reporting queries are just a select queries which is going to run and generate the report for my business. So unnecessarily these reporting queries are running on my prod side, which is putting a lot of load on my prod side. Can I bypass this all reporting queries to my DR side? Is it possible? Can I run the reporting queries, those select queries on DR side? Yes, you can do that. One of the biggest advantages of running the reporting queries on the DR side. Can I run those on the DR side? Yes, you can run it, provided you have this active data guard license. We have three types of databases: physical standby, logical standby, snapshot standby. You cannot run those reporting queries on the DR side. When you can run those reporting queries, you can run it only with the active data guard database. Your data guard should be active data guard. This is a separate license. You have to buy it from Oracle for the standby. Once your standby is active data guard, those reporting queries you can offload to your DR side so that your production is work for your client or the end user connection. The load will be bypassed to your a standby database. So all will be discussed in details in the data guard. And believe me, this is going to be one of the critical topic, data guard, and other critical topic is going to be your RMAN backups and restore recoveries. And other critical topic is going to be the fundamental architecture, chapter number 5, 6, 7, whatever we discussed. And again, these are going to be very, very interesting one. You're going to enjoy this while doing a demo and while covering each and every topic here, right? All right. I'm going to take a pause here before I continue with a few more the topics what is scheduled. Anyone has any questions so far?
So the duration as per your this one shared details is 35
I'll
days
cover
or
that one.
5 classes.
No, duration I can talk about that. Once I cover this, all the chapters or topics, I'm going to talk about that payment method, the duration, and the other prerequisites. There's some important topic called the prerequisites. Very important. I'm going to talk about that. But yeah, I'm just giving a pause. Anyone has any questions so far, whatever the chapters I covered, or any recent interview questions you recently faced, or any topic you just had a discussion with your junior DBA or your senior DBA around this topic, feel free to ask it. I'm going to just take 1 or 2 minutes to answer that.
Thank you.
Migration topic will cover, sir.
No, migration is not. Migration is again totally a advanced topic. Again, migration depending upon from where to where you're doing a migration. You're doing a migration from on-premises to cloud, or you're doing a migration from one platform to another platform, like your AIX to Windows, or AIX to Linux, or Linux to HPUX. So those are the different platform. You need a different hardware. You need a different OS to a migration. So again, you are doing a migration from on-premises local data center to your cloud. That's also called migration. So that migration is advanced topic, will not be covered, but there are some slides I have it. After end of the course, if anyone interested, I can share those or I can cover some of the basics. Not a live demo because I cannot show demo because I have to set up a environment first. So I can go through that live or go through that run log. Previously, what I performed for one of the client, I have those all the log. I can walk through those all the logs. Again, that is the end of this course. I'll be taking it as extra. All right. Let's quickly, there are few questions in the chart here. How to estimate the read logs? Somebody has a question?
Sir, in patching, ADOP patching is also there. No?
No, ADOP, you're talking about EBS application side patching. We are not talking about anything application. It's a core database, core fundamental database, core basics here. So ADOP is your e-business suites application patching.
Yes, application patching.
Right. Will not be covered here. It's not EBS. That's a separate e-business course. You have to go for that.
Actually, in first you discussed that also, no?
ADOP?
No, ADOP not. You mean what you said now? It is different servers.
Yeah, that is migration. Different server
Yes.
meaning migration. So migration will not be covered.
Okay.
All right. So there's a okay. Go ahead. Somebody has a question.
TD will cover, sir.
TDE no. Again TDE, wallet, and your OEM. Those are your advanced course, or even Golden Gate is advanced course. So those will not be covered. Again, there will be a lot of pre-recorded sessions. These will be taken it as extra questions, like let's say extra topics after this course. Your TDE, your wallet, your OEM, your Golden Gate. Again, somebody said about EBS. These are not the core DBA fundamentals. These are your advanced courses, or these are separate course. TD itself is separate course. Wallet itself is separate course. OEM itself is a separate course. Golden Gate is a separate course. So, however, in my previous batch, few of the basics of the TDE, wallet, or OEM, or the EBS or Golden Gate, some of the basics concept we already covered in the previous batch. So there are pre-recorded sessions. So we'll be given access to that pre-recorded sessions. You can feel free to watch them, understand the concept. And if anyone, like most of the students are interested to recover the TDE, so I can take one extra session after this course and I can give one or two demo. How can you set up a TDE? What is exactly TDE? Some basics overview and some basic setup on the TDE. That will be taken as the extra topics, but those will not be covered as part of this course. All right. So one or two questions on the chart here. How to estimate the redo log size? Again, redo log size estimation based upon your how frequently you are doing a log switch, and then you're going to define your redo log size. So again, we'll discuss more on that tuning parameters as part of the regular courses. And then there's the optimizer search criteria. Again, we'll talk about that optimizer. We have a last chapter here, performance tuning. I'm going to talk about that optimizer. Raja Reddy is asking about the optimizer. So we'll talk about that in the chapter number 25. Right. Let's continue quickly. Few more chapters left out. I'll just cover that here. The cell scripting, one of the basic understanding for the DBA, learning the cell scripting. Again, we have a Perl scripting, we have a Python scripting. It is a DBA job to learn this scripting, any one of the scripting, to make our day-to-day life easy. You can learn the scripting and then schedule that day-to-day activities as automation. Like you can learn, you can create your RMAN level 0 backup, level 1 backup. You can create a shell script to monitor your data guard sync, prod and DR, whether they are sync or not. You can monitor the mount point usage. I told about if your mount point is full, whatever this mount point here, mount point is full, your database is going to hang. A DBA job is to monitor what is the mount point percentage usage. And your ASM disk groups here, if these ASM disk groups are full, your database will crash, your database will hang. DBA job is to monitor the space usage, whether the ASM or whether the local file system, we have to keep monitoring it. So I can write a small shell script to monitor this, and then I can schedule them in the cron job. Cron job is again the Linux scheduler where you can write the shell script or Python script and schedule them with a cron job. So with help of this shell scripting and the cron job, you can automate your day-to-day activities, the user monitoring, the space usage, your DR sync, prod and DR sync, and your ASM disk group usage, your OS file system usage, and your RMAN level 0, level 1, and your RMAN backup status, your listener status, your ASM instance status. All those things you can write small shell script and you can automate them and schedule them via cron job. So you don't need to every 1 hour monitor your database status. Everything will be monitored via cron job by writing a small shell script. So we're going to talk about basic shell scripting, understanding how you can write a shell script will be covered here, which is very must thing for DBA to do automation. And chapter number 20, we'll talk about export and import. We do table export, schema export, tablespace and database export, and how you can do import and what are the real-time scenarios. How can I do a export import speed up? My export is taking more time, my import is taking more time. And I started my export and end users are getting some performance issues. How can I pause that export? How can I kill that export? How can I do a table level export? How can I do export level, schema level export or database level export? And then how can I optimize or increase my export import speed? We have that statistics, exclude statistics. We have exclude index. We have include tables, schemas, and we have a lot of optimization parameter in the export import. Parallelism. How can I speed up that by setting the parallelism? How can I pause this export and import? So all will be explained in real time. How you can do export and import of a table, schema, and database, and how you can use them for importing from one database to another database. And again, we'll talk about the DB link. So DB link is other concept. When we talk about the listeners and TNAs and this export import, we'll talk about the DB link and what are the importance. How can I connect from one database to another database via DB link? Will be explained that. Chapter number 21, we'll talk about the new features. 21C, sorry, your 11G and 12C and 19C. What are the different changes? What are the new features? will be covered. Again, there will be hundreds of new features in 12C and 19C, but we'll be picking up few 10, 20 new features each of these versions, and which are regularly or so frequently used or useful for DBA. Those will be picked up and those will be discussed. But again, in each of these versions, there will be hundreds of new features. It's a DBA job to go out and then explore all of those features. And if it is useful for the current project, current day-to-day activities, you can use them. So, but yeah, in this new features here, what are the main new features are regularly used will be covered over here. Like chapter number 22, 23, 24, 25, all about a performance tuning. Again, somebody has a question here, right? Optimizer search. So my queries are taking more time. What will be the root cause? Most commonly asked interview questions. Till yesterday my query used to run for 1 hour. Today it's running from last 4 hours. I ran yesterday query which is supposed to complete in 10 minutes. Yesterday it ran for 2 hours. What's the root cause? Right, and then there will be a lot of issues. How can we deal with that one? What type of a query it is? Is it a insert update query, a DML query, or whether it's a select query? If it's the insert update delete the DML operations, which is taking more time, we have to check at your database side, is there any logs in the database side? Is there any long ops, long running queries, which is impacting the DML operations? If it's a select query which is taking more time, what happened to your execution plan? Is there any execution plan? Change in your execution plan? What happened to your statistics of tables? What are the tables involved in that particular query? What are the statistics of that particular query? What are the indexes of that particular query? We have to do a gather stats on those tables. We have to do a gather stats on those indexes. We have to rebuild those indexes. You can rebuild indexes online, offline. And then is the indexes are valid or usable or unusable? Is the indexes are hidden? Because of that, queries are taking more time. The statistics on that particular table are stale. Because of that, the queries are taking more time. Your table has a lot of fragmentation. Your table space has a lot of fragmentation. Because of the fragmentation, your queries are taking more time. How can remove that fragmentation? By doing a table move, table sync, or export import. And my optimizer is taking a bad execution plan. Why it is taking a bad execution plan? Maybe any of these reasons. My table is not up to date statistics. My indexes are invalid. My table has a lot of fragmentation. Because of that, my optimizer is picking up the bad execution plan. I have to do this gather stats on the table level, schema level. I have to do rebuild indexes. I have to do a table move, table sync. I have to do export and import of a table to remove all the statistics and make my table statistics and schema statistics up to date and remove all the fragmentation. I have to do a table move or table rebuild online, offline, export or import. I can do it. Once upon doing all this, my optimizer has to pick up a best execution plan. Even performing all of them, my optimizer is not picking a best execution plan. Again, it is using a bad execution plan. Then how to force my optimizer to use the best execution plan? Boss, I have already done all the possible fixes. I have done the gather stats on the table level. I have done the gather stats on the schema level. I removed all the fragmentation. I did a table move, table sync. I did an export and import of a table. All the fragmentations are removed. And whatever the high watermark, I brought it down. All the row chaining and row migrations are all removed. And after all doing this, still my optimizer is picking up the bad execution plan. Then finally I had to go for the SQL profiling. SQL profile is nothing but we are telling optimizer or we are forcing optimizer, boss, I have done all the activities, but still you are using a bad plan. I have plan 1 and plan 2. Plan 1 is the best plan. Plan 2 is the bad plan. You are always picking up the bad plan. I'm forcing my optimizers, always use the plan 1. Anyone execute this query, always use the plan 1. That is your SQL profiling. Finally, we'll go with and do SQL profiling so that my optimizer will always use best execution plan. So all will be covered in this particular chapter number 22, 23, 24, and 25. And along with that, this is a fix what I covered. But how can I do this? I have to do a gather stats on the table level, schema level. I have to do a table rebuild. I have to do a table move, table sync. I have to do a export and import of a table. I have to bring down this high watermark. I have to remove this row chaining and row migration. On what basis I'm going to do this? Based upon my AWR report or ADDM report or ASH report. I have to run this AWR report, ADDM report and ASH report, and I have to understand what is the execution plan it is using, my optimizer is using. Based upon that, I have to take this particular fix, table move, table sync, export and import, or gather stats, or gather index stats, or rebuild the index, or the SQL profiler. So based upon reading this AWR report, ADDM report, ASH report, I have to take the next action plan. So all will be covered as part of this chapter number 22, 23, 24, 25. So with that, which concludes the scheduled topics or the curriculum for this particular course, I believe by this time, we all know that these are end-to-end as a DBA we are going to covered for any customer. Like, if you're working as a DBA for any client, these are the expected topic what I listed out here. And if any of the topic is missing from here, and it might be a advanced course, not the core DBA fundamental, maybe like as I just now asked for the TDE and wallet, those are the advanced. So if you're working for the DBA for any client, you are dealing with any of these activities in day-to-day life. And if anything is missed in this particular course, I'm happy to take any feedback and happy to include those topics if it is feasible in this particular course. Again, this particular course is formed based upon my 15 years of experience, and as a DBA, what all the topics are needed, I have included as much as possible, because the idea or motto or intention is to anyone complete this particular course, you should be able to support any client and should be able to do any day-to-day activities for any client as a DBA. So this particular course is made for a beginner level till advanced level. Anyone can join and anyone can complete this course, can be able to support as a DBA for any client. Right. On top of this, we'll be giving some extra topics like resume writing and cover letter preparation. I'll go through my own resume and cover letter, and I can provide you some hints or tips how you can build your resume. And also we'll be giving all the interview questions and answers will be given, and then you should be able to crack any interview if you refer those interview questions and answers. There will be thousands of interview questions and answers already written, which is available on our Google Drive. You can get the access on that. You can read through and then you can crack any interview. And also I'll provide the mock interview. I'll connect with you one-to-one. Again, this is subjected to everyone who are interested can register for this mock interview. I can connect with you one-to-one and I can take a real-time interview session and I can measure how much you prepared. And if there's any feedback, I can pass it how much you prepared and then what could have made you better. That's a mock interview. Right. So that is a course, a curriculum, what I just covered. And there's a blog link here. So if you can go to that blog link, that's upcoming batch schedule. So this is a batch what I'm talking about. 19 December is the one which is going to start from this Monday. So if there's any future batch, I'll be keep updating this document or this blog, and you can feel free to keep an eye on this particular blog here for the course curriculum if you're not able to join this particular batch. And then quickly I can talk about a few more topics. Right there, that will be this one.
Check the chat, Mike.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Give me a second. So already running out of time. I just wanted to cover a few more things. The course fees and timings, very important. Today and tomorrow, 19th and 20th, Thursday and Friday. So 8:30 to 10:30 is a what? The demonstration. Again in EST, again will be 18 December to 19 December. It's a 1 day behind. The timing is going to be 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. EST. Please take a note on the EST time zone. It will be Wednesday and Thursday. For India, it will be Thursday and Friday, 1 day behind. And the timings from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. IST. But EST, it will be 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. EST. And again, these are the Zoom link, demo link, what we're using it for demo session. And our actual course is going to start on a 23rd Monday. Starting with the coming Monday, we're going to start it. And there will be a separate Zoom link will be given to that registered student. So the course timing remains same. The course is a weekday batch, Monday to Friday. In India, it will be Monday to Friday, but for the US, it's a 1 day behind. It will be the timing, the date. Here it is a Monday to Friday. That here it will be Sunday to Thursday. Friday and Saturday is off. And the timing for India will be 8:30 a.m. IST to 10:30 a.m. IST, but US it will be 10 p.m. EST to 12 a.m. EST. It's a midnight for them, but you have to bear with that timing. We'll be able to complete this course in 35 days. And if there's any extra topics wanted to be covered, those will be covered as extra topics after this course completion. And again, this is a paid training. The course fees is 10,000 Indian rupees or 125 US dollars, and it will be conducted via online live Zoom session. So everyday sessions will be recorded and uploaded into Google Drive, and you'll be getting access on the Google Drive. So you'll be getting access on the Google Drive, where in the Google Drive you can see all the course materials, whatever the PPT here I'm just showing here. All these PPTs will be available in the Google Drive, along with the workbook, lab exercise, all the softwares, all the patches, all the interview questions, answers, all the automation scripting and all will be available on the course material in the Google Drive link. You can go to that Google Drive link and watch the materials and study the materials from there, or even you can download it there. And as part of the registration, once you register for this course, you'll be getting the previous batch recording. So all the previous batch recordings will be provided, access will be provided. You can go ahead and then watch those recordings well in advance so that you can be prepared for this particular live classes. Let's say if I get my Google Drive link here, so these are the previous batch recordings. So each those networking and the respective the notepad, whatever I'm executing in the command line, so all will be uploaded here. So you can watch the sessions. Along with watching the sessions, you can practice that using the notepad, whatever we're going to upload it. So that is the previous batch recordings, so that you can prepare well in advance. Or you want to complete this course within a week, you can go ahead and watch all the previous batch recordings. So kind of a fast track you can do self-learning. And current everyday batch recordings, everyday sessions will be recorded and uploaded on the same day. If you're unable to attend the live classes, you can revisit those recordings, and any questions or queries, you can post it. So we have a WhatsApp group. I think we already got a couple of students registered and all are added to WhatsApp group, and we already granted access on the Google Drive. They're all watching the previous batch recording. And then who are interested, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number or call me on my WhatsApp number. These are my WhatsApp number. I can share the further payment details, and then once the payment is done, I'm going to add you to WhatsApp group. I'm going to ping this WhatsApp number or cell number. You can reach out to me +91 988 616 848 or +91 90364 78079. You can ping me on my WhatsApp or call me on my cell. I can further guide you through payment process, how you can make a payment. Once the payment is done, I'll add you to WhatsApp group, and then I'll grant you access on the Google Drive, where you can do a self-learning and be prepared before everyday classes. And then last topic, what I wanted to cover, very important, are the prerequisites. Because without knowing these prerequisites, attending this course is kind of a meaningless. This course can be attended by anyone. Like, you are new to DBA, or you are new to IT world, or you already having 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience. You want to brush up the knowledge, brush up the in-depth understanding. So feel free to attend this course. This course is made for anybody. This course is structured such a way that it covers from the basics till advanced level concept. All will be covered here as a DBA, whatever needed for day-to-day activities. if you're working, and whatever the topics or whatever the day-to-day task you're going to do it for any client, all will be covered here. This course is meant for or made for anybody new to DBA or new to IT or switch from domain to another, this Oracle domain, or you already having experience of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. Feel free to join this course. This course will be for everyone. And if you know the basics of Windows and Linux, fair enough. You can easily catch up this course. If you don't know the basics of Linux and Windows, so whatever needed for basic Linux, everything will be covered. And on top of that, there will be some materials already uploaded in the Google Drive in the course material section, where it covers some basic Linux, SQLs, and Windows. You can go and then do some extra effort and study them. If you know these basics of Windows, basics of Linux, and basic of SQL, the SQL queries, you can easily catch up the course and you can up to date. You can be in sync with me. If you don't know this one, then you'll be a little bit of lagging, but don't worry on that. Whatever needed, basic SQL, basic Linux will be covered along with this course, each and every topic. On top of that, we have a Linux basics and Linux SQL, the notes and materials in the Google Drive. Once you register for the course, you'll get access on that. You can go and then do a self-study, self-learning on those basics so that you can be in sync with our course how it progresses. And other important topic is hardware requirement. You should have a Windows system with 100 GB SSD and 10 GB RAM minimum, so that you can set up the lab on your laptop. I can help you to set up a lab. Everyone can be setting up their lab in their own laptop or the desktop. For that, they should have 100 GB SSD and 10 GB RAM. If you don't have 10 GB RAM, you'll not be able to set up a lab. So you'll not be able to do a hands-on. So you should be able to join the course, but you should be able to listen what I'm teaching. You should be able to see what I'm doing a demo, the live examples. But if you want to do your hands-on experience, you have to set up your own lab on your laptop or desktop. In order to do that, you should have minimum 10 GB RAM. If you don't have 10 GB RAM, you might be having 8 GB, 6 GB, 4 GB. You'll not be able to do a lab hands-on exercise. So make sure that first you have 10 GB RAM, 100 GB SSD hard disk. Even if you don't have a SSD, but you need a 100 GB hard disk, but RAM is must. More the RAM, better the performance of your labs. So you can easily do all the lab exercise. Right. So that's the prerequisites. I'm gonna take a pause for a minute here if anyone has any questions or queries so far.
So, sir, the lab setup will be like just ready application that we need to install or something?
We have many labs. We
Okay.
are gonna do Oracle VirtualBox. We're gonna install this software on your laptop,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have ready labs already uploaded to Google Drive.
Okay.
So you can just download those ready labs and then you can use them.
Okay.
So ready labs with the empty lab where you can install it.
Mm-hmm.
There's the ready labs with already installations pre-built. You can use based upon whatever you want. You want to practice the installation, use the ready labs which are empty labs so that you
Mm-hmm.
can practice the installation. There are few labs which are already installed, so they
Mm-hmm.
can directly go with the. So I can quickly show that here. This is one of the course material what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The Google Drive link here, the course material, where we have a lot of the resume writing and cover letter, RMAN, performance tuning, patching, new feature, export, import, and ebooks
Okay.
and SQLs and all. You'll get access on all of these.
Okay.
What I'm talking about this ready VMs. We have this lab 1, lab 2, lab 3. These are empty VMs.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this lab 1 with database. And we have this lab 1 with ASM and with database. So these
Okay.
are like already database installed. And these are
Mm-hmm.
your empty labs where you can install the database. So you can do all the practice by downloading this lab.
Okay, sir. Got it.
All right. So we already 10 minutes on the time. So I'm gonna pause here. So I wanted to cover a few topics. Like I wanted to cover some basic database architecture. I wanted to cover some networking. I wanted to cover some of the Linux basics. And then on top of that, I wanted to cover some rack concepts. So these are the basic topics I wanted to go over and explain that and show live demo. But we already crossed the timing now. So we'll continue this further topics in tomorrow's session. Tomorrow also we have one more demo where tomorrow I'm not going to explain about this course curriculum and content. So I'm going to start with the some basic concept and understanding and the architecture part of my database side. What are the different type of database you can get it, and what is the rack versus standalone, and what are the new features and fundamental like fundamental your instance. So all those concepts let's explore more before we get started with the actual course. Feel free to join the tomorrow's demo session as well, so I can cover some basic stuffs. And then anyone interested to continue with this course, and you can feel free to reach out to me on my WhatsApp number or my cell number. I pinged this WhatsApp and cell number in the Zoom chat here. Feel free to take a note on that. Feel free to give me a call or WhatsApp me. I can clarify if you have any further questions or queries or any questions related to payment or how can take it further for the registration. I'll connect with you one to one. You can feel free to ping me in this chat here. All right. With that, let's wrap it for today. We'll continue
Hi,
in
I'm Malik
tomorrow's
sir.
session. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Malik sir, like in section number 21,
Yeah.
so we have related to features. So are we going to discuss about 23i as well?
No.
Because most of the interviews are asking like basics of features, like what changes or like what new things is came after the 19C.
Yeah, again, 21C also we have, 23C also we have, and 23C, 23C AI, 23C AI also the new one.
Yes.
Again, like let's see based upon the need we can take it, but for now it is not included. 23 AI is totally new. There are massive changes. Even installation is totally different than the 19C. Yeah, that can be a think through. We'll see it later after the end of the course. But for now, it will not be covered.
Yeah, but if it is not going to cover, but if you provide some document or link like we read
Yeah,
something.
we'll do that one. That can be done.
And are we going to talk about wait events?
Wait events, yes. So few of the, again
Okay.
will not be covered. There will be hundreds of wait events. We'll generate one AWR report and we'll talk about one or two wait events with section to check it out. But we'll not be covering all those. There will be hundreds of wait
Means
events.
most of the wait events, which is day to day we saw, at least we need those
Again, we'll
details.
talk about that. Like you can see your DB file scattered read, DOB file sequential read, your
Yes.
lot of things like your log file wait events, and based upon the database to database, based upon your database design, these wait events will differ. We'll talk about that which section to check in the AWS report, and based upon which wait event you're seeing and what will be the fix. So we'll talk about in the AWS report, but not specific to all the wait events and what are the fixes for that. Okay, that will be too much. That will be a separate course called performance tuning. I'm going to start the new course in 2025 Jan, the performance tuning. As part of the performance tuning, all this will be covered. Your wait events, the regular fixes
Yeah.
for the particular wait will be part of the new course called performance tuning.
Yeah, like that's why we like a little bit idea, wanted to know a little bit idea. So
Yeah,
like
basics will be covered.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Malik. If anything else required, we'll definitely connect with you.
All right. All right. So yeah, there are a few questions from the IT non-IT background. Varun is asking for totally new for the IT. Varun, you can give me a call or can ping me on my WhatsApp. I can discuss further on the case. Yeah, and then on top of that, any questions are missed. So let's take it in tomorrow sessions, and we'll continue on the further some of the basic topics. I'm not going to cover this course curriculum again. Let's join the tomorrow session. Get started with a technical discussion on the few of the topics. All right. Let's wrap it up for today. Thank you guys. Thanks for everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.